GNT show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. These are the voyages of the GNT show. Our continuing mission to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to bold we got where no show has gone before. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the GNT Show, episode 296. It's also October 1st, 2017, for Michael Hinman. I'm Terry Lynn. Welcome to the show, and across the table, if he's back from his little break, is Gettysburg 7.
Crickets.
He'll be back momentarily. He had a little project. And, of course, our always lovable in-house Klingon, Ceridium.
Kapla!
Also joining us this week is our wonderful friend Steve.
Hello.
And a special guest, is our non-resident Klingon, but our lovely Klingon nonetheless, the Klingon Pop Warrior herself, Jen Uselis.
Kapla as well.
Hey. Welcome.
She makes it sound easy, doesn't she?
Doesn't she? I know. She's
It really helps that I have a microphone right up in my face right now.
And a sinus infection.
Oh, there he is. Gettysburg.
Dolan True from the true language of the intelligence.
He's got to keep that. He's got to learn to keep the button pushed down.
Dolan True from the true language of the intelligence.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no. Dude, you keep cutting off.
That's really weird because I'm holding it down until I finish.
Huh. Well, I heard
Was
that.
that better? Was that better?
Yeah, heard
Yeah.
that. So I think it's just going to take, you have to remind yourself to lift the, just keep it pushed.
Hold it
baby.
down longer than you're talking. I think that's the trick. You gotta hold it down longer than you're talking.
So keep it in until I'm done.
Correct.
And then a little bit longer.
Right.
Even
and wiggle
better.
it around a little.
Yes, even better. Oh my God. Oh man. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining us this week. We have a whole.
It seems we have a greater number of viewers today than normal. I'm not sure what that would be about, Terry.
It's almost like they're expecting something to happen.
I think. I
don't
think,
understand.
I think that maybe they are all excited, maybe to hear what we have to say about a certain television show.
About my visit last week to Salt Lake Comic-Con?
Actually, I
sure
was just going to say, why don't we start off with our coffee clutch?
I get sarcasm, Jen.
I was at the Star Trek convention a week and a half ago, and I was up at Wizard World Madison too.
Yes,
It's been
you
a
were. You've
crazy
been
couple
all busy.
weeks for me.
And you were in Hawaii. Not
was
Do you get
Hawaii.
frequent flyer mileage?
What was that, Nick?
Do you get frequent flyer mileage?
We have a Southwest card. You can bet your butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do we.
Those things, man. I am so happy for my Southwest card. Oh my God, I have 58,000 miles already. Woohoo!
You want to hear?
We just got ours, and we managed to put the balance on that was required in the first 30 to 60 days or whatever. So they dumped us with 60,000 points right out of it. Yeah, we're going on the Star Trek cruise in January.
Excellent.
Did you see the video of the woman that was removed from the Southwest flight because of the dogs?
Yes, and she.
No,
I'm
hold
sorry.
on. Let me finish. You know what's funny? Every other video of somebody being removed from a plane, people are yelling and screaming at the police. In this one, they're like, "Just get off the plane. Just walk off."
We talked about an idiot who did it to herself. She
Turns
did.
around at one point and she goes, "Don't touch me. I'm a professor." And I was like, okay, she deserves to have her head beaten in at this point because
There's our Nick. Always the one for nonviolent restraint.
Always.
I am, but don't play the "Do you know who I am" card.
Right? I think everybody hates that.
Yeah.
Do you know who? Of course we don't know who the fuck you are. Get off the plane.
You're some dude that's being an ass.
That's pretty much it. It's like, oh, yeah. No, Alan and I were talking about that one this morning, and we were both of the same opinion, which was, yeah, she totally deserved it.
If you say you're allergic to dogs, have the documentation. Otherwise, get the fuck off.
Exactly. And don't ever place a corporate risk management program into the position of having to protect its other its other clients, because the good of the many outweigh the good of the one. It's so true.
How Vulcan of them.
Yeah, I'll tell you, after being an insurance adjuster and dealing with liability cases pretty much my entire career, I can tell you right now, yeah, go ahead, bitch, sue them, because they're going to take you down. If I were Southwest Insurance Carrier right now, I'd be going, okay, we're going to hire you and you and you, and we're going to defend this until trial. You're not getting any settlement because you stupid.
Because you stupid.
Because you stupid. Oh, man. Okay. What? Oh, I was going to start off with Coffee Clutch this week, and Nick, since you had a big week, let's start off with you. You were at Salt Lake Comic Con. How'd that looked really fun.
I'm going to say something that's going to shock you.
Okay.
I'm going to say something that's going to amaze you.
Oh God.
I'm going to say something it's going to entice you and elevate you. I'm sorry, what are we talking about?
Here?
That's some build up.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about? Oh. Best con I've ever been to.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, hold on. Let me rephrase. Best corporate con I've ever.
Oh, okay. That kind of carves a little niche for Shore Leave.
Shore Leave and Far Point, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely stunning how well run it is. Well, first of all, it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because it's in Utah, so the whole Sunday thing is out. The Mormons. And I'm not saying that to be funny.
No. Yeah. No, it's kind of how the city runs.
Yeah. Very easy to get to the convention. Salt Lake City, very easy city to get around. So we went into the door the first time because they had mailed us our, gold package, what are they, the tickets in the lanyards and all of that. But they didn't mail us our bracelets, which they should have. Hey, it happens. Okay. So the staff, every single volunteer, no matter what, was as well versed as person running the con. You had questions. It was amazing that every single volunteer was that well versed. I mean, you guys know from going to conventions.
Oh yeah.
The security volunteers, the people at the doors, everybody was so well versed. That is a level of professionalism that can't be beat. So we finally find the entrance to get to where we need to get our wristbands. We get them. They inform us. We thought we had only got for 1 day. We actually had the 3-day tickets.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So that was fantastic. So I went back the next day with my SIL. And
you streamed a lot from that convention.
I streamed for what? An hour and a half that one day.
I mean, usually when you at other cons, you'll stream for a few minutes and it'll just be like the one time. But you were coming up, I was getting the message on Facebook. Nick has gone live. Granted, you also were having some connection issues on Saturday, I think it was.
Yeah, Friday the connection was amazing. I did for a stream for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Saturday was way busier, and as you can imagine, the bandwidth there was just packed.
Sucked dry. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I've never seen this at a con before. Now, granted, I haven't been to San Diego or, the larger ones. So, Jen, maybe you can chime in on this. When you entered the convention and exited, you had to take your wristband and place it against this thing, and it's got that square. What's that called? The square that like.
Oh, it's a type of barcode, but yeah.
Yeah, the barcode, so that when you go in, it checks you in, and then when you leave, it checks you out.
Wow, no, I've never seen that, and I've gone. So C2E2 is one of the biggest cons here in Chicago. They're run by Reed Pop,
Yeah.
and they don't do anything like that, and Wizard World doesn't do anything like that either. And I've been to a couple different Wizard World cons.
And I thought that was really interesting that that's how they do it. What a great tool, especially, and I hate to say this, if something were to happen, there's an accountability in there,
Right.
to know that they weren't in the building or whatever. But
guest 3245 has not left the building.
yeah.
I was curious, like, who runs this con, and it's local. Like,
Yeah, it's a company by the name of Dan Farr Productions.
Yeah.
And
I
for
thought they
those
were
who do
running
not know,
other
they are in
events.
active litigation with San Diego Comic Con right now.
Yep.
It's a very big case over the actual term Comic Con.
Oh.
QR code. That's what it was, Kush.
Yeah.
It's a QR code on the bracelet.
Oh, okay, cool. But Dan Farr Productions is the independent corporate or the company that runs Salt Lake City Comic Con.
And they Larry Nemechek was there, which was great because I texted him and I said, "Hey Larry, what booth are you in? I'm at Salt Lake Comic Con." He was like, "Really?" And then Mike saw I had Larry. I live streamed with Larry, and I actually just set the camera down and walked away.
He came back 2 hours later.
Yeah,
2 hours
I
later.
love Larry to no end.
It's great.
Salt Lake. This was its 5th year, and it was a QR code, is what it was on the bracelet. This is the 5th year. This was the 5th year for the convention. It's the 3rd largest in the country now.
Wow.
And it's going to get even better next year, I understand, or bigger. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. But when a good con starts to make this word of mouth that you're doing, people are going to start traveling from all over again. It's going to get bigger. You just know it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you the most impressive things about it. First of all, the size. I got to say, it's several football fields long.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, I did not go to any of the panels. And I know that there were complaints from people that panels moved, that the printed schedule became moot because people couldn't because of time changes and stuff, because celebrities needed to move stuff around. That happens. That doesn't, you know what I mean? That didn't get me.
And when it comes to a Comic-Con where it's not like any other convention where you actually ask people which seminars they want to attend, so you can get a head count on how many chairs you need for a specific room. You know what? It's kind of sad that they ended up having to move a lot like that.
Yeah, that's really difficult when you're a con goer.
Yeah.
And especially like depending on what they're shuffling. I understand if it's the celebrity panels a little bit more because those usually still all happen in one place. But if you're talking about some of the like side breakout panels where it's like local people who
No,
are
it was the
doing-
celebrity panels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
At least those usually
And that was
happen in a
because of
single
people's
room.
schedules and stuff that happened, and that happened. But get this, are you ready for this? At this
All right.
convention, the aisles were wide enough to walk around and not feel crushed in.
Are you talking about in the vendor's room or in the
vendor's area, honey? There's no vendor's room.
Right. It's like San Diego Comic Con.
The
It's a convention center.
Superdome.
Right.
Yeah, the Superdome.
Yeah.
that's the
That's
vendor's
the
room.
way San Diego is too. The aisles are very wide. It's just that
It
they
was
still stuff
wonderful
160,000
to have
people in there.
room to move around.
Were you there on Saturday?
I was there on Friday and Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, Friday
And
and
even on
Sundays are
Saturday, 'cause
typically pretty slow, but Saturday is like your litmus test for.
Mike
Yeah,
Mike saw
right.
the stream. There was still plenty of room for me to move around.
That's awesome.
There were a couple points where you know you had stopped, but that was because they were stopping,
Yeah,
to
people were
look
stopping
around.
to take pictures of cosplayers, or to suddenly realize, oh, I need to go 5 rows back from where I just was. You know
Yeah,
how it is, people being
yeah,
people.
yeah.
But
It wasn't because there were 10,000 people stuffed in one area.
and there's it's really brilliantly designed in that you've got these rows, and then there's like an open area where it like all opens up, and there's still stuff there, but it just opens up so that like there's breathing room, and then there's rows, and then another open area. So it's like really, I want to say feng shui. Here's the other thing that was really awesome. On the walls, all the way around, food vendors on the walls all the way around, as
Oh,
well as a food court. So
that's
you
cool.
That's
never,
huge.
yeah, yeah, you didn't have to get channeled into one area for food. There's food everywhere. And are you ready for this? Now, Jen, because you're probably our expert convention goer here, this convention served beer.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's not uncommon. C2E2 definitely serves beer, and Wizard World serves beer, and they usually have special mugs that you can buy, which I love. And that's actually a great kind of tip or trick, is just buy the mug, because the beer in those convention centers is always so expensive. And if you want more
Yeah.
than one, it's absolutely worth buying the commemorative mug.
I was just really interested that they were selling beer in Utah.
The fact that they were selling beer in Utah is surprising.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that probably part of your ticket to get in was your membership fee.
Ah, yes. If they do
Oh,
private club
yeah.
or like
So
special event.
that's how they get over that. Is this for all intent and purposes, it's a state tax, and you just create a club, and then you sell your membership. So
Very
that
interesting.
yeah,
Oh,
there's always a
Pochi's
way around
here.
it, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Pochi's here.
um,
Hi,
well,
Moch.
I'm so glad that you had a great time, Nick. Now, Jen, because you had just come off of 2 different conventions, can you give us a brief update of what you did both at the Star Trek convention and at Wizard World?
Yeah. So I was just attending the Chicago Star Trek Creation Con this year. I went just to go and have a good time. We had decent seats. And so I was in the 6th row for all of the panels, and I made good use of checking out all the panels. We had pretty much the entire TNG bridge crew except Picard. And so Saturday night they had a huge, like they had the whole group up on stage for a special like Q&A session. And then it actually included Denise Crosby. Oh, Tasha Yar. So that was really fun. And then and I mean the Chicago Creation Con is small. It's just people who go, there were some people who go to Vegas who came to the Chicago one for the first time, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't realize this was so small." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're tiny." But one of the cool things about that is that the celebrities are a little more chatty and will hang
It's
out,
not
and
tiny, it's intimate.
it is.
Intimate.
No, it is. And actually this year it was even more so than previous years. I kind of think that they shot themselves in the foot a little bit with having it so close after Vegas, because
Um,
people really like it was, I've never seen it that empty before. I mean, and I use that word somewhat loosely, but I think they were really struggling to get to set. They didn't sell out this year, and usually they sell out at least on Saturday and Friday. Um, so that was kind of crazy. And and then yeah, I think having Vegas be 5 or whatever days long, 2 years in a row, I think people are just a little burnt out. And with it being a smaller con with less vendors, and the quality of vendors is kind of
yeah,
so-so.
right.
Um, I wasn't seeing anything really new or exciting, except I did buy the card set, the Juan Ortiz card set of all of the next
Oh, that
gen.
wasn't available at Vegas.
Yeah, I bought the playing card, or the trading card set of all the episodes, so I'm gonna
Ugh.
get like baseball card frames.
Sleeves.
Holders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like frames. I can show you what I did with the
Frames.
I
Okay.
took pic I did they hold about 18 cards a piece, maybe a little more, maybe 20. And it's these really nice display frames.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I did that with the original series episodes, and I have them in I have them in order, chronological order. So I'm going to do the same thing with the next gen ones.
Oh,
Although
that's
it's
cool.
187 episodes or 80,
Yeah.
so it's a lot more cards. So I don't know where I'm going to hang them. But
We
yeah,
ended up getting the book. And but the cards weren't even there. They weren't even available when we were in Vegas.
yeah, the book like just came out recently. So, but yeah, so it was fun. It was a good time. I see my friends, and a lot of my friends go, so hanging out with them. I wasn't actually going to dress up. I was just gonna go and chill out. But one of my friends, she just decided to start cosplaying Klingon. And so she was like, "I'm gonna get my picture taken with Susie Plaxton on Friday. Will you dress up and come and get your picture taken with me?" And so I was like, "Okay, sure, why not?" Because
Twist
it's,
your arm.
I know, because it's local, and I decided to stay at the hotel, and I had reserved my hotel, but was kind of on the fence as to whether I would use it. But I was like, yeah, sure, why the heck not? And so I went and I dressed up, and she did the photo op where in the hour before, or a little bit before that photo op, Susie Plaxton was on stage with John Paladin getting put into Kalar ridges.
Nice.
So we actually got our photo op with her as a Klingon, dressed like Klingons.
I saw the
awesome.
photo. It's awesome.
It's really cute. Yeah, we look like big dorks, and it's great.
And you upgraded your costume now recently. You got a sash now.
I do. I finally got my sash.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
so cool.
Able to put all my fancy badges and things that I got on there over the years. So
Klingons are such Girl Scouts.
I know. We're proud of our achievements. We are.
That's awesome.
Oh man!
and
And what
Open
about
the door
Wizard
for
World?
me? Do not
Yeah.
open the door for me.
So Wizard World Madison was this last week, was last weekend, or whatever, the weekend before this one. And I was only there for the 24th because I spent the week, I literally got home from creation on Sunday evening, grabbed a bunch of stuff out of my luggage from that, threw it into luggage that I had already started packing because I had a 7 a.m. flight out on Monday morning for Hawaii. And I was in Hawaii until Friday night, and then I didn't get home. I left Hawaii at it was midnight my time, was when I got to the airport, and I didn't get home until like 6:30 p.m. I was in airports for a really long time. And then the next day was a 2.5 hour drive up to Madison for Wizard World Madison, which I actually got I was performing at. So the reason that I was going to Wizard World Madison and I made such a huge effort to get my butt up there was because I was actually performing there. And what was really exciting about this actually is because of so first of all, it's much smaller than Wizard World Chicago. Like not even a quarter of the size of Wizard World Chicago. So I wasn't expecting it to be quite that small. But our stage was set up right when you walk into the con, which was pretty cool. So like everybody who came into the con had to walk past us, which was actually really similar to the way that it was in Chicago. The difference was in Chicago, you didn't even have to have a badge for the con to see us perform. They put that entertainment stage right in the lobby as people are coming in. And so like people going from one convention hall to the other, because Chicago is in one of the biggest convention centers. It's the second biggest convention center in the Chicago area. So when people were going from one hall to the other, they would walk past our stage, and like as they were coming in to go to registration, they would walk past the stage. So like they put that stage sort of right in the thick of things, which is really cool. And so yeah, so we're right there, and oh my God, Kato Kalin hosts the entertainment stage.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm
Oh my
not.
What? Wait.
That's a name I haven't heard
That
in
woke
like
Nick
a decade.
So when we did Chicago, I was half in my costume when we got there, and Joe, my guitar player, turns and he's like, and I had walked past the guy and I was like, he looks familiar, but I didn't really, like, I was so focused on getting my stuff together to get on stage. I didn't really take time to process. And Joe just immediately turns and he's like, he like grabs my arm. He's like, that's Kato. And I'm like, what? He goes, that's Kato Kalin. And I turn around. I'm like, oh shit. What is this?
That's
so
bizarre.
It is. Joe took a selfie and Joe like grabbed me and he was like, let's get a selfie. And
Oh
so
my
we did a
God.
selfie with Kato in Chicago. So Kato, when he saw us, he remembered us from Chicago. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, and he was like, the Klingon Pop Warrior. He goes, you guys are gonna love this. She's fantastic. So that was nice. He was like super cool about it. But one of the other cool things about the Madison convention for me was that we have a drummer now. So Dave, who did all the drumming on my new EP, him and Joe are in a band together, joined us. So it was really cool. Joe brought like his whole amp rig, so he was able to fuzz up his guitar rather than using just a clean patch. And it was really rock and roll. And my friend who's seen me perform a few times saw it was there because her boyfriend does cosplay fabrication stuff. And he had a table. And so she came by and was watching and took some video. And she was like, oh my gosh, it's so much more Klingon now. So that was really cool. The drums really added some fun to it. So the main reason I was able to add drums is because for my performances now, people are interested enough. I'm actually getting paid to perform, which is wild.
That's awesome.
And I'm trying really hard to not be too excited about it because I'm just still constantly waiting for like a cease and desist from CPS. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. I mean, as a performer, it's one thing, I get it with the CDs and the recordings and stuff like that. But I mean, if I'm traveling to perform, it seems like a whole other ball of wax. So
Yeah. Very cool though. Well, congrats. I'm excited. I want to see the video. I do. I want to see the video. And thanks for filling us in on the cons last weekend. Con season's almost over. Couple things coming up but we're tailing out. I can't believe it's October already.
Starbase Indy is coming.
Oh yeah, cool.
The chat room, we were having fun talking about Klingon Girl Scout cookies.
What would those contain? Can you imagine? Gach.
Heart of tar shortbread.
Klingons play Ookie Cookie.
Oh man.
And if you don't know what Ookie Cookie is, Google it.
Don't.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Mike, what did you do this week?
Well, how am I supposed to follow that up?
Yeah, right?
I sat around and I stared at the wall and
actually, you know darn well that Mike has been watching.
But that's what anybody's going to sound like after that.
Right?
I flew to Hawaii and then I brokered a Middle East peace process and then
I did not.
Why knighted by the Queen?
What is
that was
Saturday
that
night?
trip? I will say that trip was crazy, and the only reason I got to go was because of my husband's job.
For hubby's jobs.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and very last minute. So that's why it was sort of sandwiched between things like that.
I'm sorry,
And then
Sensei All
after
and Grim are
meeting
still
the
on the
Pope-
cookie thing.
After meeting the
Roqueg
Pope, I
Bloodman.
flew to Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that we drove.
Yeah, I bet.
It was a long drive.
So, Mike,
Everyone
I
was
know
hungover.
Mike, you have been plugged in all
Hey,
week.
whoa,
Yeah,
hello.
I didn't have a lot of work, so this week although next week is going to be different. But didn't have a lot of work this week, so I've been grinding out multiple views of Discovery and Orville and getting caught up on a lot of the TV that I've missed over the past few weeks. And yeah.
Speaking of grinding out, Mike just found out yesterday who Lisa Ann is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. And Steve, what did you do this week?
I watched Discovery 5 times and listened to the
Wait,
audiobook.
wait. 5 times in what kind of time frame? See, this is the difference between amateur and professional, and compared to Steve, I'm a novice.
Okay, well, it got released 8 a.m. Monday morning for the UK on Netflix. So I went in late to work so I could watch the episodes straight away. I've got a good boss, he allowed it. And then, of course, I got home and then watched it another couple of times as well, because on Tuesday I was recording with Larry Nemeczek my New Horizons podcast about Discovery and the first 2 episodes. So in 36 hours, as well as being at work for 2 days, I'd also watched the episodes 5 times.
In 36 hours, right? I watched it 5 times over a course of a week.
I was proud that I watched both of the episodes and managed to watch the Binary Stars one twice.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, but I haven't actually seen it since Tuesday. Because, after that was finished, I then started listening to the audiobook of David Mack's Desperate Hours for Star Trek Discovery as well.
Right on.
And then I decided to make my body ache even more than it is.
The family show. Oh, yeah, no, we're not. Go ahead.
Yes.
Well, because walking 300,000 steps in June hadn't damaged my body as much as it had, even 3 months later, it still hasn't recovered. I've decided to sign up.
That's getting in shape, Steve.
Oh, well, wait, he's doing it again.
Well, the problems that I have is because of my allergies, sinuses, and eczema, and they're the things that haven't recovered. But I've decided to do something even more and do a half marathon at the end of March. So I started off with signing up.
Oh, God.
Right.
To a 5K, I say in quotes, run. So I did that yesterday. Finished in 51 minutes and 1 second. But I won't say that I ran it. I just walked very fast. So...
That's still a pretty decent time. I mean, I won't tell you what I ran a mile in high school, but...
But yeah, yesterday...
I would have been impressed.
Afterwards, I went back and, well, I can't fit in my bath, so I have to have a shower, but I could barely get out of it because my legs were just like lead weights. And I spent most of yesterday I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. I had to cancel doing triples because Is
this your first time training for a run, or?
The last time I did any sort of running was when I was in the Army Cadet Force in about 1995.
There's a really good program, and I know you're running like a half marathon, so it's a lot longer, but to get you started, you might want to look at the Couch to 5K program. That was what I used. And when I ran my first race a couple years ago, and then I broke my ankle and I haven't been able to run since. But it was awesome. And I dropped like 14 minutes off my time using that training program to run my first 5Ks. So even just like using it to kind of ease yourself back in would be probably hugely helpful. Also, the Zombies Run 5K trainer is great.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's too great. Okay. What did I do this week? I worked and worked and worked. We're still coming to terms with the number of claims we got in through Hurricane Irma, so I'm helping our team out with that. But I watched the show. And I only watched it once because I wanted to kind of keep my initial impressions from being altered if I watched it again. So I just wanted to kind of keep my first impressions so we'll talk about those. And then, of course, I wrecked myself by watching Critical Role this week. It was a really long episode. Didn't end until about 1:15 in the morning on Friday. But it was absolutely traumatizing. Still trying to come to terms with what happened and how cruel and evil and a mastermind of storytelling Matthew Mercer is. Oh my God, I was just an absolute I swear to God.
What did they run out of Mountain Dew? What happened?
Oh, dude, you would love what this guy did. He just. For spoilers, if you guys were watching Critical Role and you haven't seen this week's episode, turn it off. Just turn me down now. But essentially, for the past 4 weeks, he's been building these characters into trying to get through a very, very dangerous set of, for lack of a better term, dungeons. Really, it's just from one to the next. And the only way to get through this entire thing, because it's enormous, and there are thousands and thousands of zombies, is to stealth through it. So they've been, for quite literally 3 or 4 weeks now, stealthing their way through these dungeons. And they get to essentially the last room before they get to the big boss, which is next week. They get to the last room, and then there's like these 3 big death knights in the way. So because for the past 3 weeks, they've been stealthing their way through the 2 biggest stealth characters, Vax and Vex. One's a rogue and one's a hunter, a ranger with rogue abilities. The 2 of them virtually disappear because they rolled so high on their stealth rolls that there were 3 of these guards in the way. 2 of them were a little bit shorter than the one in the middle, and they were just standing in the way of the next room. So they decided they're trying to keep quiet. So they decided they're going to take the 2 out on the side and then let the big fighter take the big one in the middle. And what happened is that the 2 stealth fighters go in and they virtually assassinate the 2 on the sides. Oh my God, Vax rolled an 80 hit point damage on his first knife attack. It was insane how high they hit. So they just murdered these 2 on the side. And then the fighter in the middle was actually a guest star that week, and it was Joe Manganiello. I can never pronounce his last name.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
Are you right? I said the hunk bastard that he is. And he's married to Sofia Vergara. If they ever get her on the show, I will flip out. And his character was this big dragonborn fighter, and the guy was supposed to take out the middle guard.
Wow, I totally lost you.
What? From what?
Hello, Nick?
Nick?
It was like everything blacked out.
Oh, well, you're there. Yeah. Well, either way, the guy in the middle, Joe rolls a 1 on his first attack. And everybody's like, oh, shit, he rolled a 1. It was like a critical loss. And so his first hit deflects off of the big guy in the middle. And his second attack wasn't very strong. It kind of wounds the person. And in doing so, the helmet comes off. And then you find out that the one in the middle was actually this extremely well-loved NPC character from, like, this show's been on for 3 years now. This is a character that everybody absolutely loves. And what you find out is the big guy had these 3 people under hypnotic trance, and they weren't able to fight back. And they pulled the helmets off of the 2 people on either side that they had just murdered. And you find out that one of them is the daughter of one of the characters. And one of them was the sister of the other character. So
Oh my God.
Percy's sister and Scanlan's daughter were absolutely murdered. And Gilmore, who was in the middle, was wounded. And they were able to revive him and heal him. Now, the healer that they have, Pike, who's played by Ashley Johnson, and if you don't know who she is, you guys got to get into voiceover, but she played the waitress in the Avengers, if you know who she was. She's very sweet. She's the cleric. So now they're faced with this extremely emotional idea that, oh my God, we just murdered our own family members. And the Pike has to use 2 of her very high-level healing spells to revive both of these 2 people. So now they're going to go into the final boss battle, which at the end of this entire arc, they are ending these characters next week, and they're not going to have 3 very high-level healing spells. They're all going to die next week. They're all going to die. It's just, oh my God. I was shaking. Matt Mercer is a mean motherfucker, but he's a great storyteller because that's exactly what this big bad boss would have done. He would have taken their family members and used them against them like that. It was horrible, but it was amazing. So I'm still kind of recovering from that. So that's and next week after their big thing, Vox Machina essentially retires. They've all rolled new characters and they will start a completely new campaign.
Wow.
I know, I'm excited. So if you haven't watched Vox Machina or if you haven't watched Critical Role, the big boss battles next week, and you can see what happens to Vox Machina. And then not sure if they're going to take a break or not, but then they're starting a whole new campaign after that. Wouldn't be a bad time to jump in this show. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right, we have a lot to talk about, you guys. There was the show on last Sunday.
Orville? Oh wait, no,
60
that was-
minutes.
that was Thursday.
60 minutes.
60 minutes,
The Walking
right?
Dead or Fear
Oh.
the Walking Dead.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So, do we want to talk about Orville first or Discovery?
I'm game for both. Either
All right.
one.
I think we should talk about Discovery, to be honest with you, because I have a feeling that's going to take up a big chunk of our time. So Discovery aired the premiere of the very first, The Vulcan Hello, aired on CBS network television on Sunday night, as was scheduled for the most part. People on the East Coast. Sorry, I'm laughing, but because of football and 60 Minutes, I think it was preempted.
It started with football. Football pushed everything back, and they just decided to keep running 60 Minutes. Apparently.
Because Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Well, they
Oprah.
always run 60 minutes in its entirety. Always.
Yeah.
Well, did they? Here's the thing, though. Did Oprah join the show?
Yep.
Oh my God. Really?
Yep.
All right. In my opinion,
Mike Wallace,
very personal
Harry
as it is,
Reasoner.
60 Minutes just jumped the fucking shark. Ugh. Okay. I'm
Mike
not.
Wallace, Harry Reasoner.
And Oprah, woo pitcher. Oh, please, whatever. Okay. So by the time the East Coast got the show, it was airing on time in Mountain Time. So we were all watching it at the same time.
So here's something that I've never understood. During football season, why don't they just schedule 60 minutes for 7:30? It is so rare
For the East Coast?
that it starts
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock anyway.
Yeah.
See, you have to remember, though, is that the way it's so weird how it works, right? Because how live show works is it's everything
not
that's live. Eastern, Central, and Mountain get live. Pacific gets it on tape delay. So it goes. So Star Trek Discovery was supposed to start at what, 8:30?
Yes.
and then it was supposed to start at 7 o'clock our time. So
It
it's
is on a
I
streaming
was in
service, so
Utah.
it could be done at the same time.
it was weird.
I,
And
w-
then
I
it
was
and then it
able,
goes. Go ahead, Mike.
I was able to watch it at roughly the same time everyone else was able to watch it through CBS's website.
Yeah, through All Access or
Yeah, through All Access, but
Yeah.
through their website. Their app, however, I had it wasn't available until after much later, but their website allowed me to watch it pretty much with everyone else.
With the app, there's a place where you can go to watch live TV, and you had to go in there to watch
What
it in real
thing is,
time.
yeah, the thing is, live TV for me I'm on the on Pacific, so I still would have had to wait 3 hours.
right.
Oh, that's weird.
That's the way
Uh,
that Pacific goes. It's even though every time area before it tends to get stuff earlier, then everything gets kind of rebooted and everything gets held until 8 o'clock Pacific time. So
Huh.
it's very weird. So at even Mountain Time, everything that we get. So if we look at something that's going live or even just going, so if somebody says that it starts at if typical is what you hear is 8-7 Central, right?
Right.
So it's 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Chances are we'll get it at 6.
Mm,
It just depends on our local feed.
right.
Yeah, and
So
for us, we still get it at
at 8.
o'clock.
Well, I think the app ended up being so overloaded anyway that like
Mhm.
the only reason we have a cable box is because we haven't had it plugged in like a year, but we wanted the faster internet, and the only way to get faster internet through Comcast was to sign up for a
Yeah.
package, a cable, like with a cable package.
Oh, really?
So
I got
yeah,
a la carte deal with them. I
it was
went. I marched into their office and says, "Okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. I don't want a
Like
bundle. I don't want nothing else. This is what I
Atwood
want."
versus
And they gave it to me.
Chicago.
Oh, that's
yeah.
true.
That's true.
Atwood versus Chicago.
It was
Atwater.
yeah, it was
At,
it's at some point it's not worth arguing.
Atwood.
But we went ahead and did it. But that actually worked out in our favor a little bit because the app was having so much, I think because the volume of people trying to actually stream it was so
we
high.
we have to say we were having some buffering problems during the second when we watched the second episode.
Yeah, we gave
Didn't I
up.
call it? I called
Yeah,
it.
you did. You did.
Yeah, we gave up and we plugged our cable box back in and just watched it on regular cable. And I mean it was fine. So, but
All right.
uh,
So I'm going to ask a poll in our TeamSpeak room. I'm going to start with Nick, and I am going to ask you simply one question, and that is first and second episodes together. Give me your.
I didn't see the second.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you said you had.
ooh,
No, I didn't.
Oh no! So are we going to give away spoilers?
ooh.
It's fine.
Okay.
I'll tell you what upset me about CBS.
All right.
Aside from the original series, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, all the premieres were 2-hour episodes. I think they dropped the ball on this one by having it 1 hour.
Well, it was still a 2-hour story. They just
And I'll tell you that just watching CBS and the promotion for it, they didn't make it seem special.
Well, the first episode, it is a 2-hour thing. It's just that CBS cable only got to see the first part of it.
Right.
But it is actually a two-parter.
Well,
Yeah.
you could say that about any of the. Would have been syndication parters.
Hmm.
You were
But
cutting
yeah,
out
you were
there.
cutting
ads
out.
for it. The ads for it. It was just like anything else. I was really disappointed in the television ads for it. Instead of saying, 50 years later, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, following this 60 Minutes and then Star Trek Discovery, and then what came on after it, like, NCIS Los Angeles, where Matt and Dave, or whatever their names are, face a brand new, and it was just like they didn't make it special.
Interesting. I didn't really pay attention, to be honest with you, because I wasn't watching the football beforehand or anything.
No,
so.
I'm even just saying but you already were psyched for it.
Yeah, I
Think
didn't.
about
I
the
didn't
new
need
fans
to watch the
that
ads
they
for
should
it.
have drawn in. They
They
should
still
have made
pulled
it
a
an
hell of a
event.
share, though.
Yeah, they did.
But they should have made it seem like an event. See what I'm saying?
I don't disagree. I didn't get to see them, so that's a shame. Mike, were you going to say something, sweetie?
It was like on the level of, and a new Two Broke Men. Or two, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, exactly.
I was mixing up the Two Broke Girls with the Charlie Sheen one. What was that?
Oh no, that was 2.5 Men.
2.5 Men. 2.5 broke men.
So right. All right, I'm going to ask everybody. We'll just say that whatever you saw then, give me your 1 out of 10 rating. Steve.
I would say 8.5.
Nick.
I'll go with Steve at 8.
Jen.
Yeah, I'm riding right around 8 as well.
Mike. He's watched it 5. Steve and Mike have watched this 5 times. So
Mike's stroking his beard as he stares into the
distance. You can tell, right?
Stop looking at me.
Right.
7, 8 seems kind of high, I think, for me.
And I gave it a 7 as well. All right.
Kajiro makes a great point. Oprah got more attention in the promos during the preceding football game.
I still loved it, but yeah, if we're gonna put a number on it, yeah, I think 8 seems high to me.
It to me. So I have some awesome. There's things I adore about this show, and there are things that I'm kind of, I don't even want to say I'm being so critical as much as I really want to. I want to refrain from being too critical because I want to give that portion of the storyline a chance without being, without doing. Oh, I saw a couple of rage quits this week I thought were hilarious. So, who wants to start off with what they loved and hated about the show?
I think we can all agree that visually it's stunning.
Oh God,
Absolutely.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous. But why is I joked with a friend and because I agreed with her, the bridge is so dark.
It's the whole show is.
But then you go with there's a scene with where Burnham goes into her quarters, and her quarters are all like nice and light and bright, and they actually are very TOS. You get like the TOS lattice work, dividing the room and stuff like that. It's very inspired. But the bridge was really dark compared to other bridges, and I joke that that was what they learned in the last.
Large.
In 10 years, they figured out that they needed to shrink the bridge and light it better.
Yeah, right.
I think the bridge was way too large. It was like Enterprise D large.
And it was a lot of empty space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Art direction on the bridge. Well, again, and now we're talking about the Shenzhou.
The Shenzhou, right.
We have not seen the Discovery yet, but some of the promos that I have seen make it look like that kind of setup is still there, that it's still going to be pretty spread apart and probably pretty dark.
I think the sets are actually being shared. It's like all the hallways and that. Basically, they're just turning panels in the opposite way round, and it's just different paintings and things like that. So it's just slightly different colors to show the differences between the ships.
Because I know that the one thing that Shenzhou, said she loves the Shenzhou transporters, and I have to say I agree.
Oh, yeah, that effect
Yeah.
is just beautiful. The way it's how we've been described what the transporter does, like completely disassembling you and then reintegrating you. It for the first time, I feel it actually looks like that. To me, it's the best sort of transporter effect we've had.
And because the ship is
Yeah.
supposed to be old
Old.
already by that point in this story, it's using old tech. So, which makes the TOS transporters look all shiny and spiffy.
And the idea of vertical versus horizontal, which
Yeah.
they talk about, you know, the
That
one
lateral
they have in the-
transporter tech,
yeah.
right? I loved that idea of it. I thought it was really cool looking. I did.
I'll tell you something that caught my eye when he said it was, forget what officer it was, but he said doing manual calculations and he had a calculator. I liked that. Did you even notice that?
I don't think I did.
Yeah, they were doing something. It was in obviously part one. She was trying to figure something out, something with the scattering field, and the guy said, "I'm doing manual calculations," and he was holding a calculator and punching numbers in, which I thought was really cool.
I must admit,
Yeah.
I didn't notice that on all
I
the
didn't
watches.
either, but that's
Wasn't
neat.
it a risk calculator?
No, it was a handheld one.
Oh, that was from the Orville.
No, it was like
That's probably why I haven't seen it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I
think
said
the
no, it
Orville had the
wasn't.
risk
I
calculator.
was watching it in Utah. It was Voyage. It was Discovery.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, I don't remember that, but on my second viewing,
I'll
I
have to
will.
keep an eye out.
Anything else about the art direction, whether it be Shenzhou or any other kind of planetary, the way that the show looks? Any other comments about the look of the show?
Does like makeup fall into that category?
Yeah, I think we should
Oh.
just jump to makeup right now.
So good.
And what's funny is I think I'm gonna disagree with Jen.
Oh God. I mean, I do
just-
feel like
let's
some
get
of
this
it
out
was
of
a
the
little
way.
stiff, but Saru, oh my God.
So Saru is awesome. I love
That the
and
science officer?
yeah. The Doug Jones
I
character.
loved his thing about his race being bred to
Prey.
hunt and bred for prey, and he can tell when they're about to die. I loved that part.
I wasn't, because we had seen that line on some of the previews and I wasn't sure how that was going to carry. And I think they were able to pull it off without making it look or seem too ridiculous.
And Desperate Hours actually goes into a little bit more about his character as well. So that all that part comes an awful lot more clear if you read David Mack's book.
And let's just say Sonequa Martin Green.
Because, that's all that matters to Nick.
Yes, it is.
So the look of the show, the look of the makeup. Now, I know
I
where
had
Jen
a
is.
problem.
Okay. And here's my problem, and it really is. Having the Klingons look different does not bother me.
Nope, not at all.
Having the Klingons makeup so stiff that it pulled me away from the show bothered me.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a little stiff, and that was definitely a little weird. But oh my God, I have so many feels about the language.
Yeah. So my question to you, and here we're just going to jump right into it. Some of the critiques that a lot of people have had about Discovery right now is going to revolve around the Klingons. And now, mind you, I think it's hilarious that leave it to the graphic designers in my life and the graphic artists in my life that are so anal retentive that they're all flipping out about the fucking font.
You
I
serious?
have to. Oh God, Nick, I'm not kidding. I just had to go. Really? You're gonna break down and you're gonna snip about the fucking font for the subtitles. Okay, you're stretching. You're really looking for something.
Big time.
Stylized, and the thing is that stylized subtitles are really popular nowadays. Like that's, and I liked the idea. There was a really funny tweet that somebody had posted, and Rob, I'm friends with Robin Stewart, who did all of the translation for the show.
Yeah,
and obviously with Klingon, capitalization matters.
Yes,
and I say that frequently, and so capitalization matters with Klingon. So the fact that it's all caps, it was kind of, even though there were upper and lowercase cap letters, there's that feel there. But somebody said, well, it's just, better for Kalis to hear the words. And I was like, yes. It's capped to honor Kalis.
I can tell you from my profession, the all caps is actually, they do that because it's easier to read.
Yeah,
it is. It's easier
for the eye. That if you go to lowercase, it becomes much harder on the eye. So that's why you have the small caps, large caps. Because for somebody with sight problems or whatever, it actually it's amazing the difference it can make. Because I do newspaper layout and design, so the all caps thing.
I loved it. It didn't bother me at all. I just thought it was funny that there were people who were going, "Oh my God, the font!" I was like, "You graphic
I'll tell you the
designer
problem
bullshit."
I was just. I'll tell you the problem I had with the Klingon, aside from their very existence.
Oh, please.
That their ship looked like a Romulan ship, but that's okay if they want to follow the greatest, race in the galaxy. That's fine. Here was my problem. Main Klingon dude, I don't even know his name.
Takuma.
Yeah, whatever.
Takuma.
It sounded like he had a mouthful of shit.
And that was. Go ahead.
And that really bothered me. The others spoke much clearer. There was something, I don't know if it was his makeup or
it was
what it was.
Teeth. I think it was It was a combination, I think, of the teeth and his actual, like, if you've ever heard Chris Obi just speak, he's got a very sort of deep in the back of the, like, throaty voice. There's a couple interesting things that have come to that I both know and didn't know. First of all, they ran everybody through sound, like the sound engineers ran everyone's voices through an effect that made it sound like they had a double larynx, which I just thought was the coolest thing in the world because
there's redundancy in Klingon anatomy.
Yeah,
exactly.
They even have 4 nostrils.
It absolutely made sense to me that they would have double larynx. And I was like, oh my God, they could freaking sing in harmony with themselves. That's amazing.
Okay. Now I know why you love that. Cause now you're like, how can I do that?
Yeah, never. This side of never. But so I thought that was really cool, but it also kind of made things make a little more sense for me. As far as some of the there were some dropped, like big H, that sound got dropped a little bit, and the GH sound, which is already really difficult to enunciate, which is this like sound, those sounds kind of got dropped, and I think that some of that because these actors worked so hard on their pronunciation, and it really showed. It was, so I think that some of the dropped sounds or just some of that like really like muffled things may have been may have had something to do with sound engineering, because his voice definitely from like episode 1 to episode 2, I think there was a clear difference in some of his.
I would agree with that.
And but the pronunciation, this is actually some of the most accurately pronounced Klingon Hole we have had in a series ever.
Yeah.
like ever. And it's designed to be spoken. It was designed to be spoken with prosthetic teeth in. So like they knew, like, Mark Oker knew that was going to happen. So it's a lot of very throaty. It really is like even the D sound is more of a duh sound. So if I were actually talking with a Klingon accent, a lot of my stuff would fall in the back of my throat and the use of my upper palate, like, and the back of the upper palate. So it's kind of interesting hearing people be upset about that
No,
because
it was everybody else seemed so clear to me, and that was the problem. Was it sounded like I don't know, like he had a mouthful of cotton, and it kept bothering me because I was interested in what he was saying.
And and there's the thing on the first episode, Nick, I would totally agree with you. And I actually turned to Alan when we were watching it going, I was absolutely blaming it on the stiffness of the prosthetic in the lower jaw.
And I do think that played something as well.
Yeah. And as much, and here's the thing, and I know that it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but as much as everybody idolizes Hetrick and everybody from is sometimes too much makeup is a bad thing.
Right.
And
no, you're right.
And it was distracting, and that pissed me off. That pissed me off because it became distracting. For me, all of a sudden, I stopped paying attention to what was being said in the subtitles, and I was looking at the face going, what the fuck is holding his jaw in place?
Exactly.
And that was annoying.
For me, the opening scene, the very first shot that we see, by the way, that was a CBS logo Easter egg. There were like, I noticed 3 or 4 of them actually. But the very first shot where you're getting that extreme close up of T'Kuvma's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What I found so annoying, and for me it just ruined the makeup
around the base of the eye.
You got to see, you saw skin texture, right?
Yep.
And then prosthetic.
Yep.
You can see where the two met. Not that it was bad makeup, but the texture, the skin versus the prosthetic. And from that moment on, it was like, oh God, that just annoyed me, and I could not get over it. After that, I just did not pay attention to the makeup because I kept seeing in my mind, I kept seeing that line, you know.
It was an unfortunate choice not to use a lot of CG to clean that up.
They could have done something. That was my
and for all of the shit. And here's the thing: for all of the shit that Hetrick and these guys give the people on fucking Face Off about being HD ready, I was pissed because they weren't HD ready. I was like, you motherfucking hypocritical,
I mean,
whatever.
I mean, maybe the whole, we're going to go an extreme close up of the eyeball. Maybe that threw them for a loop. I don't know, but or it was a surprise for them. But that's what was disappointing. And there was a lot of extreme close-ups of eyeballs in this, which is the CBS logo. So there were these Easter eggs, CBS Easter eggs are sprinkled throughout.
And don't forget, everybody, Mike and Steve have watched this now 5 times. They've had a lot of time to kind of pick over the minutia.
That's true. I was like, because I actually didn't notice that, but my TV, I mean, it's not a. I don't know how I would have missed that, but yeah,
I caught that on the first viewing. I was like, that the texture of the you know what skin looks like. You could see, when you're extreme close in HD, you have the pores.
We're getting into real nitpicky territory though.
Well, actually, I never noticed that, and even after Mike mentioned it, I went on my 5th rewatch. I still couldn't see it.
Jesus.
I'm actually seeing it in 2K on Netflix, and for me, it looks seamless.
Huh. Interesting.
I wonder. That is interesting. Good night, Baz.
Bye.
So so we have done our obligatory beefs about the Klingon makeup. Now, again, having them look different does not bother me. I actually kind of
because Japanese people look the exact same as
I like this.
Hold on.
You know,
Wait,
the
what?
Klingons were supposed to be one of the Federation's biggest enemies.
Right.
And in TOS, they kind of just look like us. How is that scary? In Next Gen, and when they started doing in the movies and then Next Gen and stuff like that, they've sort of become these sort of lovable kind of party hard goof, allies of ours.
Frat boy type of thing.
Yeah. They've been more like screw ups and just like troublemakers more than really particularly terrifying or scary. These Klingons, now these are the freaking Klingons that like you use to scare your kids with and say that they're like hiding in your freaking closet. Like these are fearsome. They are legitimately scary looking, and they're to me, like, this is the enemy that we have always been told that the Klingons were before we became allies. Like this,
and I think it really lends credence to what inevitably we all know becomes a very, very hard thing for members of the Federation later on in the timeline to get over their prejudice and hate. That they finally, when we get to, the movies, and when we get to Star Trek 6 and we get to Undiscovered Country, why it's so fucking hard for Kirk to get over his absolute detestation of the Klingon people. And it shows it's got to be hard. Why is their eventual alliance such a fucking miracle? This is the story I'm looking for, and I'm with you. These are the Klingons that are supposed to be harsh and frenetic and fundamentalist in their beliefs, so much so that they become a very, very fierce enemy of the Federation. And that whole war, you don't have a war with people you like. You have war with people that you don't like. And this is going to be an interesting setup.
And I think the idea too, we've talked about the fact, yes, that they look different. If you look at people across the Earth from us on the other side of the planet, they look completely different from us.
Well, and that's that's what I've been saying, is that the Japanese look nothing like us, Westerners. So
right, and so you have that. So you have an entire planet of people on different continents. And then not only that, you have people who've probably colonized other planets, and there's been an evolution there as well, and so yeah, the look doesn't bother me. That's definitely, I agree. It doesn't bother me.
All right. So we've talked about the look of the show. We've talked about the look of the Klingons. We've talked about, what about the look of, the actual Federation? Well, here's the thing.
Before we go on to that, can I just quickly say one more thing about the Klingons?
Oh, please, Steve.
I liked the fact that they actually spoke their language. Yes. And we had subtitles for them. I detest subtitles. I'm usually doing something while I'm watching TV. So the fact that I've always got to stop doing that to actually read the subtitles bugs me. But the fact that, because we are dealing with aliens, the fact that we actually had them, apart from when it was appropriate to use English, they spoke Klingon. I did like it. But also to do with subtitles, Netflix, I know you guys don't have it with CBS All Access, because there are Klingon subtitles for the really geeky Klingons of the world.
Yes.
So you can actually watch the entirety of Star Trek Discovery with Klingon subtitles appearing the whole way through.
Isn't that repetitive?
It's
really geeky.
And Robin Stewart did all of the translation for the show as far as what gets spoken and what you hear. She was also helped by a delightful gentleman called Alan Anderson, because the shooting schedule ended up kind of getting pushed back. Robin is a pilot and does the bulk of her flying in the spring and the summer, and winters are slower. So originally it was going to all be filmed sort of in the fall and the winter when her season sort of slows way down, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. But because things got pushed, Alan got brought in as a backup in case she was in the air and couldn't respond to immediate requests, which I think is just a little fun fact for y'all. But for the European Netflix subtitles that you see, those were done by Lieven Litar, who is known as the Klingon teacher from Germany. And yeah, just throwing
That's
that
cool.
little
love
trivia
See,
out
that's
there.
Why we have you. That's why I'm so glad you decided to join us. It's shit like this I would never have known. I love it. Steve, anything else?
No, I just wanted to say that about the Klingons before we sort of moved on to the more Federation stuff.
And
Cool.
I have to reiterate, even though people are a little bit dogging on the sound of the language, as a beginner level speaker, I was absolutely tickled and floored by how much I understood. While just listening, when I was listening to them, I understood words, and I was kind of looking at the subtitles and being like, yes, 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 yes. There were plenty of words and things I didn't understand, but that was more on my lack of vocabulary or, like beginner level grammar. But it was for people who speak the language and the fluent speakers, they were beyond thrilled. And the interesting thing about sort of the slowness, the one thing that I kind of like to say about that, just to add one more little thing, when Klingons speak, it's very deliberate. Klingons don't waste words. There's a reason that we don't say hello, we say nuknech, what do you want? And so
Don't try and compare yourself to New Yorkers. Now you're really pushing it, lady.
But there is that idea of, if a Klingon is speaking, they're not wasting words, and they're going to make sure you understand them the first time. And so I kind of enjoyed the deliberateness of the way things were said. And that was just me. I think that there were people who were clearly a little more comfortable with the language at first, but I do think there was a big leap from episode 1 to episode 2, even though they were probably filmed at the same time. There was definitely a comfort level that seemed to come through in the second episode that was a little more stiff.
I would agree. And I think maybe too, just because maybe it was just a timing thing, the way that they rolled through the script. I don't know if they filmed the first part first or the second part second. It's hard to tell. But the second episode, there was definitely a higher comfort level with the language and with their pacing. Although the pacing on it was still kind of slow for me. I understand that there's a deliberate intent with how they speak it. Directorial, I'm not sure if I wouldn't have wanted to pick up that pace a little bit, just because it's hard, because the majority of the people who are listening to the show, let's face it, the majority of the people who they want to watch this show are TLDRs anyway, right? It's too long to read. So they're not. So I can understand the pacing issues and the pacing complaints. Art level on it, though, I think was great. So it's just something that they're going to have to work through. They're going to have to. It's going to be trial and error on how that works out and the complaints that they get. But I'm loving the fact that they're speaking their own language, and the look of I just love the look of that ship, the look of the sarcophagus. So
oh my God!
The
physical representation of the Black Fleet.
Right?
On that's like some Dothraki bells meet the fucking Reavers from Firefly. Like,
it was so cool.
You know, when you know that there are bodies on there that are hundreds of years old, and you know how long that ship has been out there battling.
But
and
I know
fighting.
Mike had a problem with that.
I thought that was just awesome.
Mike?
They're fighting on in death. Protecting the ship.
Is he there?
I thought it was awesome.
I thought he came back.
I'm here.
Oh, what was your thoughts on that?
On the sarcophagus ship?
Yeah.
Well,
it's okay to disagree. Oh, we're putting him on the spot.
This particular group of Klingons, for me, they come across as very cultish, and the version of Kalis's teaching that they follow is very different than the one that we've come to know in other series.
Yes.
Which to me it's are these like the Lutheran or the Baptist versions? I was trying to figure out.
I would call them the fundamentalists.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I even said on Twitter, I was like, look, the Klingons killed their gods for a reason. This is not going to end well. Like this is not going to end well for this sect, but I think that I think it's interesting and really cool the way that they've integrated those teachings, the concept of Stovacor and the Black Fleet and things like that into physical manifestations, I think is really interesting.
Plus the history of this set of Klingons and what's going to happen will actually unfold throughout the series. Unlike, from what we've been told, unlike with other series, it's not like you have an enemy and that's it for one episode and you may get another one later on in the series or next season or something. This time we're going to get a lot of development when it comes to these Klingons. So we haven't sort of heard the last of it, and we're going to find out more.
Okay, so one of the things I want to clarify, because I want to make sure that I have it right in my head, is that Tukuvma wasn't necessarily successful in reuniting all houses, correct?
No, there was one, especially, I can't remember his name. Was that Core?
Cole, yeah.
The guy with the red.
I was away, but I had a thought on what Mike's problem was with sarcophagus.
But I think
the
Core
sarsaparillas.
Isn't Core one of the ones, the houses that we already know? Because we've been told there are 24 houses for the Klingon Empire, but I think previously we've only ever heard of, I think it's 11 from memory alpha that I'd got. So, and I think Core was one of the ones that we had previously heard of.
Ah, that could
Core
be,
was played by
Oh, it's
Cole.
Cole. It's not Core. It's Cole.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
yeah.
So, Robert Reyes, I think that's kind of how you're supposed to take it, is that this particular Tukuvma's house is kind of like their cult, is kind of a sect or a house that had been separated from the larger, and because of that separation and because of their, I guess, refusal to their fundamental beliefs, they've kind of created that very, very fundamentalism, refusal, or creation of their own mythos, really. And so
I think it's a sort of commentary of like ISIS.
Kind of, except I guess being far more charismatic, because he was able to show the other houses almost simultaneously and instantaneously how charismatic he was, and that apparently he was right, and that's what they were all missing. Personally, I think they jumped on board too soon.
Oh, it wasn't even all of the houses, because although we had 24 ships,
how do we know how many houses jumped on board?
Well, we only saw 7 holograms. So it was only I took from that is only 7 houses came in.
Okay.
And the fact that they all arrived at the same time means that there are probably other sects that are in the same area, which is why their looks are relatively the same. Because Klingons from further afield maybe didn't come to reply to the signal.
It's also possible that with Tukuvma were a couple of houses already. I got the impression that there were at least 2 to 3 different houses represented with him at the time that he
interesting
fired the beacon.
Yeah, I just
it's not. He's actually taken all the black sheep from other houses, and that he made a point of that. Cool. He actually said, "I've even taken people you've said get out of my house," sort of thing. Okay. He's taken in anybody who will join his house, basically.
Which is really why people follow him. The people who follow him with so much fervor, I think, too.
Because he accepted them.
Right, yeah. And they believe he is like Kahless reborn. Like,
so that in and of itself is very again, a fundamentalist and ISIS-like, and that is, we'll take any, you were turned away by blah blah blah. We'll take you in and we'll give you eternal life, right? Interesting.
I've also noticed one other thing with the Klingon is his name is very much, well, to me, seemed similar to Kuvar-Ma. And I wondered if maybe that was deliberate. Because his name is it Takuva?
Yeah. It's
and
Takuvma, and the Kuvamach is, of course, people don't remember,
the Klingon savior,
the Klingon savior, which is,
And I did wonder if there was something
baby.
that sort of ties in, sort of, he's taken on what he thinks he's the savior of the Klingon Empire. And of course, it's probably going to be around this time that the Klingons that headed out to the Delta Quadrant left as well.
Interesting.
That's a good point.
Oh
Steve.
my God, Steve, that was awesome.
I think the Klingons that were in the Delta Quadrant left before this. That was the impression I had gotten from Voyager.
Let us have our moment of awe.
Well, you're probably right though, Mike. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Whether or not that's the case, we'll find out, or we'll never know. It depends. Okay, kind of moving on to a different subject, and that's going to be the big subject right now. And I know that we've got a little bit left because we started late. Is going to be the actual story, which is pretty much why I removed 3 points from them on this. Nick, because you've only seen the first episode, I feel bad for giving you all these spoilers.
I really don't care.
Okay. I'm just going to start off. My biggest beefs with the story is, in and of itself, is a disappointment in this idea that somehow Michael Burnham.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I tell you something that really bugged me? Part 1.
Okay.
And this is something I've complained about on other shows. Stop having good guys pull weapons on each other.
Okay, well,
It's old, it's a trope, it's worn out.
all right.
I never once in 28 years of service pulled my weapon on another American soldier.
That's right.
Stop it.
Okay. So Nick kind of
No,
is,
that's a
Nick,
real thing.
Stop it. I'm agreeing with you. Let me
Thank
agree
you.
with you. For fuck's
No,
sake.
I want you to. Oh,
No,
okay.
my biggest
Okay.
beef with this is, why the fuck did there have to be a mutiny? Oh, please. And here's the thing that's going to bum me out the most. For the most part, these first 2 episodes, if I were an editor, I probably would have cut entirely. Did
Would
we
have cut
really
the
need to
episodes
know
off?
all this? When does the story start? It
Episode
starts
3.
next week, folks. It starts tonight. That's when the Discovery starts.
Well, did they do this though because Sonequa Martin Green's character?
No, I think that they fully intended on giving us a lot of backstory. My
Was
problem
this,
is,
and was this Brian Fuller's vision before he left?
yes, absolutely. This is
Yeah.
straight
He wrote
out of
this story.
He wrote this story.
But it's not something we haven't seen before in Trek with regards to the way Vulcans use logic, and it's part of the whole Michael Burnham thing about how she's sort of fighting her Vulcan upbringing against sort of how she's sort of relaxed.
No. Don't
with-
get me wrong. I look at this and I think of this. Okay, this is a woman. Vulcan upbringing, or human or not, makes no difference. The basis for her move made sense. This was a woman who truly believed that a preemptive strike was going to avert the war. Is
Right.
she wrong? Probably not.
Right.
She probably was correct in her assumption. The mistake she made was doing the Vulcan nerve pinch, taking out her captain, and pulling a mutiny. I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, they've got a big hurdle to jump, because there's no way in fucking hell anybody would have allowed her back on another ship, regardless of how right she was. She broke the penultimate rule, and that was mutiny. She took over and she took over the ship, and she injured and attacked her own captain, and then inevitably killed her.
It's kind of ironic that the thing that she suggested in the first episode is exactly what ultimately was done.
This was a character who was put into a situation where she was right, but she ended up paying the price. She was right and then wrong.
Right reasons, wrong execution.
Exactly. Right. Everything about her suppositions with regards to how do the Klingons, how would they perceive a first attack? Would that have averted war? Well, everything we know about Klingons later on down the line, including Narendra, is that's how you develop your respect with the Klingon Empire. It is violence. It is, how do you respond? You respond like an honor. You respond like a warrior. That's how you're going to avert the war.
She knew that, a good punch in the nose.
Give them the Vulcan hello. This is how the Vulcans have dealt with them for how long? She's already said Vulcans go out, they shoot first. That's the Vulcan hello. That makes sense.
And Vulcans are not one, she said, we don't make the same mistake twice. Like,
that's right.
They learned how to deal with these people.
Right.
Humanity has always been so slow to listen.
See, and Kojiro has
technological issue as well. Go ahead. It just remind me technological.
Yeah, Kojiro is correct, and he and I share the same opinion, and that is the story could have been dealt with a little bit better, and that is have the Vulcan hello fail, because T'Kuvma isn't a real Klingon. He's not going to respond the way a Klingon would, right? He was bent for war either way. It wouldn't have mattered how you responded, and or how the response was, whether or not the Federation shot first or refused to shoot first. That you have to show that it wouldn't have mattered. T'Kuvma was there to take them down, and then have that be the failing, that it didn't need to be a mutiny. And I'm actually very disappointed in that, because now they have this huge hurdle in a character that I should be loving, and I don't. At the end of the day, I'm like, God damn it. God damn it. Now she's in fucking jail, and now they're doing exactly what I hated about JJ Trek, and that was this bullshit made up way of getting a character back on a ship when they shouldn't be there. Same with the 2009 JJ Trek. It's the same here. It's trumped up. Why can't we just have somebody who's good at their job, who earns their way onto the? This is a woman who didn't even go to the fucking academy.
Right. She was just that freaking
She was just the human the Vulcans didn't want anymore, and so what did we do? We let the captain of this ship adopt her.
But an admiral and several other senior officers stole a starship and went into a...
You're cutting out there again, Nick.
I was going to say, Nick, start over again. An admiral what?
Would an admiral and several of Starfleet's most senior officers who stole a starship ever be given first let back into the service, let alone given command again?
Well, no.
Yeah, and it's, as I said earlier, we've seen this before. Tuvok, when season 1 of Voyager, he broke the rules and gave away all the stories because he thought that's what the captain would want to do if it wasn't because of the rules. And it's the same with this one. If it wasn't because of the rules, Starfleet doesn't shoot first. She took what was the logical way, and the only way she knew she would be able to do that was to go around the captain and sort of do a mutiny. So I personally didn't have a problem with the mutiny, because that is the only way she could have done it her way.
And that's the problem. any other, and maybe that goes straight to the fact that she didn't have this academy training, is that she did what she felt was right, and that you know what, instead of just realizing that better to be right and then see the results of somebody who ignored you, as opposed to doing something wrong and still paying the price. That's what she did.
I will say this, that if you read Desperate Hours...
Oh, Jesus.
What? No, go ahead.
There is... The way that story unravels, there is a little bit more about her attitude and how she became first officer a year before this happens. And there is something similar to this where her captain... Well, let's just say something happens, she doesn't get punished for it. And that was by her captain. I won't say any more because I don't want to ruin the storyline for people when they do read it. Whether or not how much of that we'll get to know through the TV series. But to her, she's basically just done the same thing that she's done before. And yeah, she's just protecting her shipmates and her ship.
Interesting.
Yeah, again, it all comes down to, look, I understand that having quote unquote flawed characters is more interesting. I get that. But having a character do something that's so obviously flawed, it just makes the hurdle for me as a viewer that much higher for them to overcome, to make me believe that this is a person who's going to get a second chance. And I'll tell you, it starts tonight when she gets on. I mean, I realize now that she's the previews and she's on for all intent and purposes, a jail ship. This is where I'm going to be so critical. It's just like, okay, why is she on the shuttle? Where is she going from? Is she going from Earth to where? Why is she doing this? Okay, yeah. And how does she get on the Discovery? And this is all such entirely kind of hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. They're going to have to really work for me to believe or even care about her. And think that she fucking deserves to get what she's going to be getting, and that's getting on the ship. And rank or no rank, it doesn't matter, because we all know that she doesn't have rank, but she's in a fucking uniform. And she's serving again when she should be fucking sitting in a hoosegow on Earth for the rest of her life, as she was sentenced. Now, the other thing too is just kind of going back real half-heartedly. Since when do court-martials occur in dark rooms with...
That was the only thing that bugged me.
So
that was just
stupid.
like, really? What was that all about?
Like, Jesus. I mean, come on.
Once again, they clearly in the next decade figure out the lighting situation. That's
Well,
they were so tired of the dark, they went with primary fucking colors for everything.
and light. Lots of light.
This is where something that took me out of it. In Deep Space Nine, the greatest Star Trek series ever, they had this hologram situation where, like, Cisco could talk to other captains, and they only used it for like 2 episodes. Meanwhile, that's a regular part of the tech on the first episode of Discovery.
Okay, repeat that because I want to make sure I heard it right.
In Deep Space Nine, they said that they had this new form of this new holographic, basically, telecom system, so that like Cisco could talk to the Admiral and his hologram was standing next to his chair or whatever.
That's when he's going after the Marquis traitor.
Yeah.
And they only used it for like 2 episodes. And then it's a regular part of this episode.
Funny? Didn't Fuller join right then?
Maybe.
I think that, you know.
But if they're, and I hate to use the word canon, but it's, it's a regular part of everybody's using it. They're calling it home.
I am never, see, you know me though, when it comes down to this, I'm really not going to be I'm trying not to be too judgy on the whole tech thing, just because tech between 1964 and now has...
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
But when in Deep Space Nine it was said this was a new system, and then it's an everyday part of the system.
I'm still laughing at what Grimagination put in the chat room.
About chopping carrots?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
But one of the things Larry said is maybe there was a reason that they had to stop using it, and then later it became new technology in Deep Space Nine.
At the end of the day, I'm like, does it really make a difference?
Well, it pulled me out because of how important a part of that chasing
it was for you in
Edrington,
DS9. Yeah. Okay, I get
of
that.
chasing
Yeah,
him,
I
it
actually thought
was.
that was kind of goofy as well. But I was kind of like, all right, well, I mean, we just, I was fairly forgiving because it's like, look at where we are now
right.
compared to when the show, and
I'll tell you.
and so I was a little forgiving, but I was also like,
Did
wait,
anybody
wasn't that
else-
supposed to be brand new tech in Deep Space
Right.
Nine?
Did anybody else love the sound effects of the TOS bridge sounds?
Yes.
Yes.
And there was some
The
TNG
bosun's
stuff too
whistle.
there, but it was great.
Yeah.
There was the whistle and the red alert sound. I loved that.
Yeah.
And definitely in the second episode, when you just look at Burnham's quarters, because Burnham's quarters are so very TOS. Like you
They are.
see the TOS influences all over her quarters. And I thought that was really neat, especially with how different the bridge is.
Okay, you
but I
guys-
thought that was really clever.
All right. So
Yeah, the bridge reminds me of the Enterprise E.
Yeah, a little bit, I would say. Mike,
With the standing positions behind the captain and everything.
all right. Well, one of my beef with the whole Sarek Burnham communication wasn't the hologram. It was the psychic connection.
Ah. Katra.
Yeah. The whole ability to talk over thousands of light years that we never knew Vulcans had the ability to do with anybody they mind melded with.
Well,
That-
those that
Enterprise
defend
trip into Paul, and then in the Enterprise novels, that comes into play a lot more often.
Yeah, but Trip into Paul's was because they had sex and they
But-
were in love.
In this case, it was because
They're
Serac
He
brought her
brought her
life.
back to life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
Mike,
why that was
Yeah.
such a deep connection.
I don't want to cut Mike off. Mike, what were you going to say?
Well, they have developed a familial bond. Tuvok, in Voyager, when he talks about the connection with his family, his children, his wife,
Right. So why wasn't he talking to him throughout the whole show?
he may have been privately in his room when he was meditating. We don't know. We never got to explore that side of him.
Well, they would have known where the Voyager was then. I don't see Tuvok's wife holding that
they're
information
okay.
in.
So they're
That is true.
So we can just put into effect that there's probably
some form of quantum entanglement,
or
that-
some
that
form of
occurs with
there is a
Katra.
distance, a perimeter where it doesn't work.
I suppose.
It was
They're
to
all
me,
in the Nexus.
to me that's what threw me off more than the hologram.
Are people really
I was
complaining about the book titles? Get over it, people! It was a fun little Easter egg. Knock it off.
Kojiro. Okay, Kojiro has something I can use as an excuse.
Okay.
And that was she actually talking to him or just the part of him left in her mind? And seeing as though he did say he had left a part of his Katra in her, I'll run with that. I'll run with
Quantum
that.
entanglement.
Yeah.
But no, he actually says during the communication that he's in pain because the effort it takes to communicate with her over vast distance. So it can't actually be it's the residual Katra.
God
It's
damn it.
actually him communicating.
Right.
Because God damn
Bleh.
it.
See, I just fuck that one.
Steve with
that
your
one was just to
Steve
me
with
that
your
was just like,
points
God
and you're
damn
paying
it.
attention.
To me,
I didn't even
that's-
think I'd watched it 5 times. Oh.
again, to me, that's the same thing as being able to transport at warp and that shit. It's like, why aren't you? If it was that way all along, why weren't you transporting everywhere? All right. So,
right,
my
Terry.
beefs are- yes, sir.
We put out an announcement yesterday. You did.
Yes,
we
we
shared.
did.
Let's,
it is time to
let's
talk
get
about
on
it.
to that.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And Jen,
Changes.
do it again.
Changes.
For
me
those of
blush
you
when you sing.
for those of you who have not read or heard, yesterday we posted an announcement on Twitter and on our page that, as most of you know, our 300th episode will take place at the end of this month. It will also be our typical annual 24-hour fundraiser. However, this year, there's 2 things that are going along with that 300th episode. Number one, the 300th episode will be the last episode of the G&T show in its current format.
Let that sink in, Terry. Let them just hear the first part of it and not the last 3 words you said.
In its current format.
4 words.
Okay.
God, I count like Sid Vicious. Jeez.
So after the 300th episode, we're going to be taking a nice long break for the rest of the year. And
We're
then
getting
after
a new studio built.
we're going to get a new studio built. We're going to make some minor changes to our iconography on our page, because
For
the
our
fact
artwork.
that a little bit of artwork change. I mean, most of it, the logo will stay the same. Everything else will pretty much stay the same. All of the beautiful work that Thomas Maroney did for us is going to stay the same. We're just going to be removing a couple of words and then moving forward. And that is actually Snowman Frost. No, less Star Trek and more other things.
Let's explain our thinking on it.
And the thinking is, we've been a Star Trek focused podcast for well over 6 years now, 300 episodes to be exact when we're done. And Mike and Nick and I have done a lot of growing in that 6 years. And
I
we
put
all,
on 30 pounds.
So have I. Mike, I think we gained what Mike lost.
Yeah.
And we all have such interesting and kind of various interests, whether it be gaming and movies and television outside of Star Trek. With the advent of Star Trek Discovery, we have noticed a lot of our friends who also do Star Trek podcasts have not just integrated Star Trek Discovery into their current podcast, they're creating new podcasts specifically to talk about Star Trek Discovery. So the number of podcasts that are out there now that are not just Star Trek specific, but are Star Trek and Star Trek Discovery specific have doubled. And we don't have, and here's the thing, we've never felt that we have been in competition with any of them. They are our family. Mission Log Podcast, Priority One, Trek Geeks, these are all members of our family. And the fact of the matter is, we just don't see ourselves as creating another podcast just for Star Trek Discovery. And to be honest with you, with the plethora of them out there, and not the least of which is by the time we actually get to talk about Discovery and everything else, it's 7 days later. We just felt that it would be more fun for us to kind of expand our horizons with regards to topic. So we're going to convert the G&T show from a Star Trek specific podcast into a pop culture, more widened pop culture podcast. And kind of as a segue into that, our 24-hour fundraiser, we will not be asking for any money for the G&T show or for Busy Little Beaver for its server costs to produce any of our shows. What we are going to ask you to do, however, is going to be to donate money to the Pop Culture Hero Coalition, which is a wonderful nonprofit organization that was founded by our friend Chase Masterson. and is also has some wonderful professorial and other wonderful people who help educate, and they're putting together a wonderful education anti-bullying campaign that they can get out into the elementary and middle schools of the world, actually. This is we think a great way for us to kind of show how much we love Star Trek and yet how much we all still love our other things. We want to be able to talk about other games. We want to talk about other movies and television shows. We want to talk about a lot of different things, and we think this is the best way. Go ahead, Nick.
Because when we talked about it, one of the things we said was if we actually stayed with what said about Star Trek, we would never discuss Orville, Critical Role, conventions that are not Star Trek, different shows that we love. Even this is such a great time for genre. Unbelievable time for genre.
Yeah.
It like my Mel and I went and saw it. That, you know, that's a huge pop culture thing. That raked in the money in a huge way and touched a cultural nerve. It's
Good
kind of a
film.
natural evolution for us because, with the exception of me, we're not unintelligent people. And so it helps us stay ahead of the game. Don't think we're not going to talk about Trek.
That's right.
If you think that, you're an idiot.
No,
But that will still probably take up a good amount of our time.
agreed. Mike, were you going to say something new?
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike is we had a great conversation yesterday and tying things up and kind of coming to terms with, we've been talking about this off and on for a year, and how do we want to deal with it? And it just came, there's some changes that need to be made. We do not know, by the way, we have not yet come to terms as a group as to when we are going to record live and on what day. Mike and I, after 6 years, have finally beaten Nick into a pulp saying we can't do this anymore. We love you, but Sunday mornings are just impossible for the future. So over the next month and a half or 2 months, while we revamp the show and get the new studio built, we'll be discussing what day and time we will have a live episode. I'm going to learn some more tech things so we don't have to burden Mike with so many things, or Steve. I'm going to learn. I'll be doing
Steve
some
will
of
be
our
in a
shows.
coma by then.
And I'm just really looking forward to broadening our horizons. And to be honest with you, some of it I'm really looking forward to is that if we do get the opportunity to attend conventions, that we're not going to be limited to just attending Star Trek conventions anymore. We want to be able to get out and meet our friends who don't get to go to the Star Trek conventions, that don't do this. And this will give us a better excuse to get to the other Comic Cons and to have our presence in vendor rooms with companies that actually want us there. Oh!
Yeah. Oh, I have some interesting news about the Chicago Creation Con. That
Oh,
reminds
really?
me. Yeah. They did not take pre-orders for a convention next year, and there are no dates for Chicago next year.
Why is that not a surprise?
I know.
I mean,
And so, but what, there were people who were really freaking out. And I was like, we have tons of conventions around Chicago. But it amazed me. People think that there are a lot of people who attend the Star Trek convention who think that that's like the only convention there is in the world, and it is not. It is not at all.
wow.
So
yeah.
hopefully people will be expanding their horizons a little bit more. We'll see what happens, because we have gold badges for the Chicago Con, so because it's a quarter of the price of what people pay for.
And a good example is how many we haven't even mentioned. We used to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yeah.
We haven't even mentioned Inhumans.
No. And we won't until we change format.
Right, but that's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Is
Exactly.
there's just so much going on.
And Mike
I mean,
is
Gotham.
such a great.
There's
I mean,
a
look at what
Gotham
Mike.
convention coming up.
Right, and Mike, he has other interests. He plays other games. He has, big dude and little dude. I mean, he's got so many other things that I would love to hear what he has to say about those things too. He watches other television shows. He watches, and his opinions matter to me. So I want to hear what he has to say about those things. So there. So that's our big news. So please, please, please join us for the next 3 weeks. But here's the big thing. Really, at the end of the day and at the end of the month, when episode 300 comes around, we really want you to be participatory in our 24-hour show. We're going to have some amazing guests lined up. Chase has been so excited. She is so thrilled that we're donating the entire show pretty much to fundraising for Pop Culture Hero, that she's working with Mike on getting some prizes from Pop Culture Hero, some t-shirts and things like that, out for prizes.
We also have prizes of our own that we're including. So, yeah.
Exactly. And no, I'm not responsible, Baz and Woody. I'm not responsible for mailing things out. That's Mike's job now. Okay? I haven't ignored you. Trust me, I haven't ignored you. Be that as it may, please, 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 though, we're not going to disregard anybody who donates during the month of October. So starting from today, if you happen to have more money at the beginning of the month than you do at the end of the month, and it's easier for you to donate to Pop Culture, please do so now, and then save your receipt, and that way you can keep it. And then during the 24-hour show, if you want to use it like a chess piece, you can do so. We'll be giving away our items during, I don't know if they'll be hourly or not, depends on how many donations of prizes that we can get. But during the whatever prize period we're going to be dealing with, you can use your receipt one time as if you had donated just then. And you can use it, and then whoever donates the most during a particular hour or prize period during our 24-hour show, they'll be able to win the prize. So even if you donated on October 1st, save your receipt, and then you can send it to us during the show when you think it's going to be best for you to grab a gift that we might have available to give away that day.
And let me just say this. Mike sent me the new headphones, and they were here like the same week he said he was going to send them. And Mike's like all responsible and shit.
It's true. It's true. Give me all the shit you want. It's true. I still have 2 people I have not gotten gifts out for last year. I'm horrible.
I'm horrible.
It's horrible. They're still I gotta fucking buy boxes. I know Alan's gonna come down here and kick my ass. All right, go.
Yes, the Amazon link will still work.
Yes, the Amazon link will still work. Everything
the
about our show.
The only thing we're doing is changing the show to be more inclusive of other things.
Right. And as much we'll still talk. You know what though? I've been kind of itching to start playing like Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've never tried it. I would like to talk about that. I'd like to play it. I play Lotro. I play Neverwinter. I play The Secret World, which just went through a huge revamp. I would like to be able to kind of talk about that kind of gaming, not just Star Trek Online. As much as I love Star Trek Online, and by the way, oh my God, kilts!
What? What happened there? What just happened?
You didn't hear? You didn't hear about Star Trek Online?
Kilts.
They released the
kilts.
Scant.
Scant.
The Scant is part of the. You can now fucking put your people in Scants as should be in Star Trek Online. However, because of the celebration of the new Miracle Work specialization in Star Trek Online, starting on Tuesday, if you opened up the Scant, you also get kilts.
And unlike some podcasts, we were well ahead of the Scant curve. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but yours wasn't quite as short as Mr. Smith.
My original one was.
It was kind of short. Yeah, that's true.
I had to tie it off because,
Either way, the scant is available. And for those who do not know, both the Klingons and the Romulans can wear them. They have males, they have Romulan scants and Klingon scants too.
Titan shall not be wearing a scant.
I'm just saying, green
Nor a
legs,
kilt.
man, are pretty schmexy. There's like
Oh,
a
I
green...
know. There was this girl at the Salt Lake convention. Anyway.
So yes, Cushy, I did say Star Wars. I've never played the game. I would like to try it.
Harry, did you see that I saw Joni Brosis at Salt Lake City?
I did not.
Yeah, she was the Vampira.
Oh, fun! How very
Yeah.
fun. I know that like I said, Mike, you're playing Timeline still, right? Are you still playing? Did you quit the other game on the one that was the Walking Dead one?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know that one was frustrating you.
And I'm still elbows deep in Marvel Future Fight.
And these are things that we all love, and there's a lot. There's just a lot of other people out there who are Star Trek specific, and you know what? We love Star Trek just passionately, and we'll still talk about it. But you know what? There's deeper waters. It's pretty deep out there, and right now we just kind of want to do something different.
We're not going to do the comic book thing and rebrand it #1, right? We're going to go 301.
Yes, that'll be episode 301. It's still the G&T show.
Well, it's still Captain America, but issue 1. And then 15 issues in, it's Captain America issue 1. Stop it!
This won't be a different universe. Same universe. Different chapter. That's all.
We need a flashpoint.
We're not rebooting.
Is Mike falling asleep?
He's tired. Well, dude, you wake him up at 5 a.m. to do the show.
I didn't wake him up.
Oh, well, yeah, and it's as Cushman-Zada said, it's totes deep out there. It's true. There's a lot of Star Trek. There's a lot of other podcasts too, but this is kind of our way of kind of dealing with a need for us to personally feel like we're doing something different. And all three of us, it was like, do we really want to? We talked about ending the show. To be honest with you guys, we really did. And after this kind of disappointment year of not getting what I needed as a consumer from creation, and kind of getting it, I really just, it put a bad taste in my mouth, and I really seriously thought about just having the show end at 300, but both Mike and Nick said, well, what if we just do something different? And I went, okay, yeah, that'll bring me back. So thank them for keeping it together, because I was ready to just call it quits.
Thank or curse. It's up to you.
But I'm actually really excited about it. And the reason why we're taking a nice big long break is just because Alan and I are going to go on a big vacation. Mike needs the break. We all need the mental break. And not the least of which is there's a whole lot of TV I'd like to watch.
And also, it's the holidays, and we normally are spotty through those November and December anyway.
Exactly. So
spotty, not spotting.
So wrong. So yeah, we're going to take a nice long break, let everybody kind of rejuvenate.
Oh,
what? Yeah.
Harry, you left out the best part.
Oh gosh. I'm sorry.
The record review section. Rusty Trombone gonna come.
Oh God.
Right now, I mean.
I think it's probably better that he's cutting out like that.
Me too.
I'm not cutting out, baby. It's just that my power is overwhelming. Who are you? I'm Rusty Trombone. Who is this pretty lady?
All right.
I'm the jazz saxophone.
I think that means it's time for the end of the show. Mikey, do you have any announcements?
GNT Show's September product news roundup is out. Check that out on our website. Terry, you had a fan dance this week. Welcome Discovery. That's also on our website. As well as your changes announcement. That's there as well.
Changes.
Awesome.
And then finally, Semantic Shenanigans episode 11. It goes up to 11. Is out now. So
yay,
check it out.
Semantic Shenanigans. When did they record that? Yesterday?
Yesterday. Quick turnaround for them.
Awesome. Don't forget to listen to Semantic Shenanigans. Oh my God, they had so much to talk about this week.
I think Live Love Play is still on hiatus, on paternity leave.
That's right. That's right. Congratulations again to Ross and Ray. And next week, I will not be here. I'm going to be celebrating a certain wedding in a certain state with a certain Kushmanzada.
Didn't get an invite. That motherfucker.
So I'll be over there. So as much as I love you guys, Cushy's getting married, so we're gonna be there next weekend.
I don't recognize this marriage since I knew nothing about it just now.
All right, they'll just be living in sin for the rest
if
of their
he's
lives.
walking down the aisle and just.
That's so great. Okay, and that kind of does it. Jen, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to pop in.
And also, Steve, thank you so much for helping us out with our live feeds.
Not a problem.
Mikey, I love you.
Love you too.
All right, you guys, that does it for episode 296. Join us next week on October. Oh my God, I have to flip the fucking page. All right, October 8th, when we will be doing episode 297. Until then, live long and prosper.
Kabbalah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Jen,
Bye. Bye.
Go on, true. Well, I really hope you don't have a heart attack walking down. Yeah. Mic drop. GNT 2. What are we?
6.
GNT 296. October 1st for Michael Hinman. Be a real shame if that cake were to fall over.
Music for the GNT show is provided by 5 Year Mission, Enterprise Blues Band, Warp 11, Andrew Allen, and Grethor. The GNT show is a BLB production.
Move ahead, walk back to 10. Put a mini skirt on my yo man. Represent the human race. And we make space a happy place. To fully go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Gonna travel to new worlds. Beam on down and meet some green girls. Gonna see what we can see. A fancy-free galaxy. To fully go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Come and take a tour with me. There'll be no cons or Kobayashi. G community. To boldly go where no man's gone before. Face happy. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. They'll be so happy, can't you see? A 0 G.